If you have a child between about 3 and 7 with an ADHD-type brain and you ask them to do something, get dressed, clean up, come to the table, and they just don't move, this video is for you. There's this tiny stretch of time where nothing is happening. Your child is still just standing there, staring at you, or still playing, and you can feel it in your body. That moment where you're thinking, okay, are we doing this or not? You don't know yet if you should wait, repeat yourself, or step in. And most parents in that moment go straight to repeating themselves or pushing harder because it feels like you're being ignored. But that actually makes it less likely your child will follow through. I want you to slow that moment way down, because what you do right there is what determines whether things move forward or turn into a power struggle. That stuck moment, I call it a pause, but what's really happening is more like a bottleneck. The request is there, but your child's brain can't move through it yet. Let me give you one thing to try the next time you notice that pause. Instead of repeating yourself from across the room, move closer and shrink the demand. So instead of saying, get dressed, you get close and you say just the first step, pants on. Another support that helps a lot at this age is staying with them just long enough to get them started. Instead of saying, go clean up and walking away, you stay nearby while they begin. And once they're moving, you step back. And the third support is taking the words out of the air and making the next step visible. That might mean pointing instead of talking, holding up the shirt, tapping the bin, or laying out the next item they need. You're not lowering expectations here. You're helping their brain get unstuck. This is why I find it helpful to think about these moments like a stoplight. Green is the ask. You say, get dressed. Clean up, come to the table. Yellow is that pause. Nothing's happening yet, but a lot is happening in their brain. This is where things bottleneck. Red is when everything tips over. Your child melts down or pushes back. You're frustrated and nobody's thinking clearly anymore. The leverage is in the yellow. By the time things turn red, nobody's thinking clearly anymore. Your child is overwhelmed, you're frustrated, and everything feels harder than it should. That's not because anyone messed up. It's what happens when the brain gets pushed past its limit. Let me show you what this looks like with a really common situation, cleaning up toys. You say, okay, time to clean up. That's green. Your child keeps playing. They don't move. That's yellow. Instead of repeating it louder, you walk over, get close, and point to one thing. You might say, car's in the bin, or you might pick up a couple of toys with them to get things moving. That's not giving in. That's helping their brain get through the bottleneck so they can take over. Once they're moving, you step back. Same expectation, different support. When we keep repeating from green, all we're really doing is adding pressure. And that's where yellow turns into red. Here's a really common mistake. When nothing happens at yellow, we assume the problem is motivation. So we repeat ourselves, we warn, or we start talking about consequences, all while their brain is still stuck trying to get started. That turns a bottleneck into pressure. The issue wasn't that they wouldn't do it, it's that we skipped the part where they needed help getting started. And sometimes, especially with ADHD kids, they're not just stuck starting, they're stuck stopping and finishing what they're doing. I'll talk more about transitions and finishing loops in another video. As kids get a little older, usually around 8 to 12, this can start to look different. You may see more pushback or faster escalation, not because your child changed, but because the history around these moments has happened over and over. That's what I talk about next. That pause is the moment that matters. Not later, not after the meltdown, right there. And when kids get older, that moment changes, which is what I talk about next.